Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. I am Olakunle Kasumo. I like to call this Children's Week, obviously because a lot of children events are held around this time due to May 27th being the Children's Day. So we thought it fitting to have as our guest today a woman who has committed much of her time and talents to writing for and inspiring children. She is Olubunmi Aboderin Talabi, the founder of Clever Clogs Books, the author of a number of children's books, and the convener of Akada Children's Book Festival, the first of its type children's book festival organized in conjunction with the British Council, Lagos. The festival created a platform for children authors, writers of children's books, illustrators, readers, publishers, educators, and of course, parents. Olubunmi Aboderin Talabi joins us to discuss her writing and thoughts on reading and literacy for children. Enjoy this. Bumi, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club.
Hi, Kunle.
Thanks
nice
for
to
joining
be
us.
here. Thank you.
Thank you. You've been very passionate about writing for children, publishing for children. What's the story behind that?
Well, I became a mother, and I found out about the importance of reading bedtime stories to children. And we scoured the bookstores locally looking for indigenous content, and we found a couple of storybooks that resonated with us living in this country, in this environment, but they were not enough. We were doing 3 books a night, and we very rapidly ran out, so I started writing our own stories. And the first one was Toby Visits the Conservatory, and that was based on our family visit to the Lekki Conservation Center. And then after that, I wrote Cobb the Antelope, because I decided that I wanted a set of books about animals that you can find here in Nigeria. So I researched the game parks and the animals that we find on our game parks. So we have the Cobb Antelope, and I find them fascinating. So I did the first story on Cobb the Antelope, which is about a little boy whose mother warns him, don't wander away, stay hidden in the lush tall grass, and of course, he wanders away. That book is particularly special because it's written in stanzas, almost like a poem, and it's an allegory warning about stranger danger and why kids need to actually listen to the advice of a parent rather than fall for the flattery of a stranger.
You wanted to read to your kids at bedtime every night, and you were doing 3 books a night.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very Nigerian, if you get what I mean. It's a culture. People ask me, how do we get our children reading? And I ask them, do you read with your children? And the usual answer is no.
Well, it is what you make it. I don't think any one country has a monopoly on the reading culture. It's up to us if we decide that we want to improve on our standing in the world in the reading index. There is actually something called the reading index, and I did this research, and I found that India came number 1 with on average about 10 hours a week that they read, and they have so many libraries. And I researched how many libraries do we have, and it turns out that we have about 361 public libraries, and in India they have like 54,850 something libraries.
Whoa.
So I was like, okay, fine, a bigger population and all that, but even when you average it out, that's still a whole load more public libraries. And I found out that it was because it was a deliberate policy from hundreds of years ago when one of the Maharajas decided that the British were not going to be more educated than his people, so he deliberately went into rural areas and he planted libraries. And so perhaps that's why they have such a strong reading culture today. Similarly, with us in Nigeria, we can decide that, you know what, we also want to have a higher standing in the reading rankings. Some people may not think it's important, but it really is important in terms of developing the ability to pay attention to detail, which is probably the key to success.
Okay, that bit about not finding enough books to be able to, I'm guessing you meant indigenous books, right?
Yes, as in books that are based in Nigeria, or books that featured children of color and so on and so forth, because a lot of the books are imported, and they're excellent books, great books, wonderful books, but I just thought it'd be nice to have a book that said A is for Amala rather than A is for Apple, and so on. Yes.
Interesting. Now, had you been writing before then?
Strangely enough, I'd never written any children's books before that time. Before 2016, I'd never written any children's books. I write articles, I write public policy pieces, I write public analysis pieces. But, you know, when you have a change in life, sometimes it changes your perspective. Yeah, and it introduced me to this whole new world.
And that's interesting. I want to pick you up on that. How did you find it? I mean, writing, it's one thing writing for adults.
Yeah.
it's a totally different ball game writing for kids.
Yes.
Tell me where your mind went, how your mind explored all
Well,
that.
it's funny when you start hanging out with kids, organizing play dates, doing school runs, and living in their world. You start to see life from their perspective, from this high rather than from this high, and it's a whole new world, and it's interesting trying to explain things to children. And what I find most fascinating is how inquisitive and curious, and actually how intelligent they are, and how they can quickly adapt information and emulate what they see. So all of that encouraged me, all of that inspired me to writing the books I've done. So far, I've written 7, and I've published 4.
I was going to ask you
Yes.
about that. 7, whoa. Yes. And this is...
That's the new one that's going to be launched.
Sticker book in Nigeria for children.
As far as I know, that is definitely the first children's picture book, the Nigerian indigenous children's picture book that has stickers in it, and certainly the first that has stickers in 4 languages. The book comes in Hausa, Igbo, English, and Yoruba, and the stickers are in all 4 languages.
This is excellent. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I can read wash your hands in English.
Yes.
And then read Owore in Yoruba.
Yes.
And whatever it is in Hausa and Igbo.
Yes.
And then I could put out a sticker.
Yes.
This reads what?
That says 1K.
What?
1K. Hanunku.
Oh, 1K. Hanunku. Okay, so which means what?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
In Hausa.
And so when I do that,
yes, you can.
I can stick this
exactly
on my my shirt or whatever, and then pose around with it. Which kids absolutely love.
Kids love washing hands. So the idea is that it's something that kids and parents can do together, and then when they do wash their hands at an appropriate time, the parents can reward them by giving them a sticker.
Okay, and this is in English, Yoruba, Hausa, and this is amazing. There are not enough books like this in Nigeria, unfortunately.
And hopefully, I believe that with the Akada Children's Book Festival, we're starting a change in that, and we're doing what we can to attract more people to write children's books. And what we're doing is providing a platform to showcase as many different authors as possible. We have a lot of authors here in Nigeria. Actually, Nigeria, believe it or not, is quite a literary country, but we write for adults. So we just need more people to change their attention and write good, wholesome, healthy books for children.
I was just going to ask you about the festival.
Yes.
Is that the first children's book festival in Nigeria?
So as far as I know, as far as we know, there have been reading festivals. Of course, schools organize book fairs and things like that. But as far as we know, on the scale that we did it, with all the different activities that we've done, I haven't been able to find record of someone who has done something like that. But to be on the safe side, what we like to say is that it is the first Akada Children's Book Festival in Nigeria, which it certainly is, but it is probably the first book festival exclusively for children on that scale that we have seen.
And it was really amazing. You brought in children, young authors, adults who write for children, publishers, parents.
Yes.
And tell me a bit more about that.
It was honestly, even for me as the organizer, I stood in awe when I saw the response. It was amazing. It's a first event, and we had over 2,000, I think it was between 2,000 to 2,400 people register. And usually they say, oh, in Lagos, even if you have a whole bunch of people register, it's only 1/3 of the number that register that turn up. So we thought, okay, fine. So maybe we'll have about 700 people there. But I'm told that it was over 1,500 people were physically present on the day, and it was a lot of fun. And do you want to know something? It wasn't just the kids, it was the parents. The feedback from the kids was outstanding, but the parents, it was amazing because we had workshops.
Yeah, you had
for parents, workshops for teachers, workshops for children. And the parents were like, oh, wow, I want to attend this one about, spotting the signs, and I want to attend this one about how to raise a genius. And the parents themselves were engaged. I had one parent tell me that she planned to come and stay for just 1 hour, but she ended up staying for 5. So it was amazing. It was even beyond the expectation of us that were part of the planning and organizing. And we only hope that we'll get the same kind of support that we got this year, so that we can put it on again next year.
So what's this all about for you? Where are you going with it?
Where I would love to see Nigeria become 100%, for Nigeria to have 100% literacy in my lifetime. It's a goal of mine, it's a passion of mine, and I'm doing what little I can, which is just encourage and inspire children to read. where we are on the literacy ranking globally, on literacy ranking scales globally, we can do better, and I hope that we do better. And I know that the world is moving forward. The world is moving beyond just paper or word literacy. It's moving on to digital literacy as well. So we have a lot of catching up to do, both in terms of reading and writing, and in terms of learning how to code. So I guess I'm really passionate about the fact that I know that we can do more, we can be more, and just by encouraging kids to read, by encouraging parents to read to their kids, I'm hoping to do my part in improving our literacy standing.
Great. It's been fantastic having this chat with you. And I hope these books are easy to find. I would like to get a lot of children reading. I hope they're easy to find out there.
Yes, they're in bookstores, and they can also get them online. They're available online.
Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
Nice to have you on Channel Bookclub.
Thank you so much.
I'm absolutely sure I'm starting you back to
Okay.
Thank you very much. You heard what Olubunmi Abodere Talabi had to say about Akada Book Festival. Now, that was an interesting one. A specialized book festival for children is exactly one of the things we have been advocating for on this show. We visited the book festival and thought the seed for something big had been sown. Let's share a bit on how it went.
Perhaps the Akada Children's Book Festival is the first book festival focused on children in Nigeria. Organized by Clever Clogs Books and the British Council, it attracted hundreds of children, parents, writers, and those who provide one form of child-appropriate content or another. A primary objective was to showcase children's books written by African authors or books written by authors from around the world for children of color. Learning was mixed with fun for the children. And there were workshops for parents.
We sometimes tie to our ability to conceive. Meanwhile, parenting has nothing to do with sperm donation or conception. Parenting is actually the process that can bring forth the potential of a child. So you do not actually bring forth a child for the child to become like you. You bring a child up to become himself. Now the question is, how many of us can stand at a child becoming himself or herself in this age and time and in a culture where a child is sometimes a retirement plan for some parents. So you find some parents whose identity is wired around their only child, such that by the time the child is ready to get married, they want to marry with a child and go and be causing trouble in their home. Right? Now, truth is, if you do not observe who your child is and maximize the potential of your child, by yourself, you will set up your child, you will set him up for a life with a predator, or you set her up for a life with a predator. Because the moment a child's self-esteem is messed up, right, the child will take in anyone who offers warmth or affection and will sleep with that person, including keeping a secret.
And some for content providers, like writers and illustrators.
There are picture books, there are picture storybooks. The difference between picture books and picture storybooks is that picture books don't have any words. Like the Kipper series, the Kipper, Chip and Biff, the first stage of that, there are no words, just pictures. But kids are able to tell an engaging story through the pictures. There are early reader books, young adult books, bedtime storybooks. The bedtime storybooks are different from academic books and others. School books, read aloud books, books that are specifically designed to be read aloud, and that tends to be most bedtime storybooks.
One interesting thing is how well this book festival fared in the social media. It was the #2 trend topic in Nigeria on the day, with over 70 million impressions and over 5 million unique users reached. Perhaps this new festival will one day inspire other children's book festivals across Nigeria. It is certainly an important educational event for any country.